Okay, you guys, let's do this. It's going to be so professional. Like, so professional. Here we go. Welcome to the Live Support Podcast with your hosts, Michele VanDusen and June Colson, a couple of clean comedians who support each other and others through comedy's wacky and winding roads. I hope you're ready. Get set. Let's go. Since podcasts have a catchy tune, we wrote this song for Michele and June. Clean comedians are best friends too. Oh, that's so good. And you never know what they'll say or do. Here we go, sing with me on Live Support, with Michele, who's really short. We'll have a ball, with June, who's really tall. They have fun, interviewing comedians on Live Support, with Michele, who's really short. Now it's time to start Live Support.
The Live Support Podcast is brought to you by the Hot Breath Comedy Network.
Wow, give yourself a round of applause. Woo! That was magic. Welcome to the award-winning Live Support Podcast. I'm your host, June Colson, here with Michele with one L, Trisha's sister, Morgan's little sister, Rhonda Colson, Corey's friend. Don't call me Shelly, Michele VanDusen. Hello, Michele VanDusen.
Hello. Oh, how are you?
I'm good. Are you ready for a show today, Michele? That was a deep sigh.
There is some crazy flying bug flying around in my office. And right before we came on camera, it swooped and hit me. And I don't know where it went. I don't know, but at some point,
Of course you have a fly swatter sitting right beside you, right? It's the telescoping fly swatter. That's insane. So when I went to Tulsa and met Michele, when we went to Pops, we talked about this in a previous episode. There were flies. It was summertime and there were some flies in there, and Michele literally started digging in her purse and she was like, "Where's my telescoping fly swatter?" Like, you have a mama purse.
This is like it's like an ant with wings. Like, it's not like I don't know how it got in here. But that freaked me out. So
I always say I don't get why God gave me the name Junebug, because bugs freak me out. I was at a car show this weekend and one of those stupid cicadas landed on me. On my leg, just was stuck to my leg. I couldn't move. I froze. Jason was standing beside me laughing and he was like, panic test. And I'm like, and there were people passing me and I literally threatened to punch him in his face if he did not get it off of my leg. This man stopped to look because he thought I would have fought him. I can't stand bugs, especially the flying bugs. But Mother Nature's after us. You have a bug in there. I had that. Plus, I was driving down the road and a huge bee flew into my car. This morning, I had a hummingbird attack me while I was drinking my coffee, spilt it all over myself. And then you had a tree fall on your car. Like, we got to get our lives straight. Something is not good.
So that branch not only took my side mirror out, like all I have is like this little wire that sticks out now. It's just sticking out. There's no mirror. It's gone. It's gone. And then it has a dent, on the top of the car. And then I was looking at we was walking in the parking lot and I looked at my husband's car and I was like, now I know he hit something on the highway, but it was on the other side because it messed up the alignment. But I'm like, man, you really hit it hard because the hood is pushed in. What is going on? And then I realized, oh no, the branch did that.
Yeah,
the branch took out my mirror and pushed in his hood. It's like you could see it,
Oh,
and he's like, hasn't it always been like that? I'm like, no. I look at this every day. And I know that it has been shifted, and it finally dawned on me why and how. Yeah, we got scratches on everything, and anyway, so
I would like to point out to our listeners that if you're just listening, you should definitely watch this on YouTube to see Michele doing her driving act out there. I can tell you as a witness to her driving, that is pretty much how you drive. You just have the little ear.
No, hang on.
No, it's like this. She has to peek over the steering wheel. Okay, we clearly don't have our lives together. Michele, I'm just going to need you. Look at me. Trust the Lord. You are safe. He will protect you from this flying insect.
I just missed it. Like I almost got it. I was this close.
But we have to go on with the show. This is show business. This is show business. And fortunately, this show is not reliant just on us today because we would all be in trouble. We actually have a very unique show today that I'm super excited about. We're going to do a few of these this season number 5 of the Laugh Support Podcast. We're going to do a few of these. And today is going to be our very first one. So we are having a panel. Michele, we can't, y'all, if you're listening, she's got a random little telescopic fly swatter and she's just flicking it. I can't deal with the flick. I have it with the ADHD. I can't deal with the flick, Michele. You got to get it together. Can you do this? Yes. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and introduce our guest. We're going to bring him in because you've got to get yourself together. Okay, so today, for the very first time, Laugh Support, Season 5, we are going to have a new type of segment, and it's going to be a Laugh Support panel where we bring in a few of our friends, or a couple of our friends, to just talk about it. We're going to talk about it, and we have a couple of topics of discussion today, and we have 2 wonderful comedians. Both of these ladies have dry bar specials. They are national touring comedians. They are our dear friends. Please welcome to the show, Christy Conder and Dorie McLemore.
Woo, woo, woo. Yay!
Oh,
Christy.
Oh, sorry.
Christy, welcome.
Sorry.
Welcome to the
Hello.
Sorry.
We're going to need Christy to relax a little bit. So
I'm looking at overpriced furniture designed by the people that wrote Flowers in the Attic or something. You know, it's like, what? Can we have a little color? Something? I don't know. Anyway.
What is this? So speaking of color, Christy is so colorful right now. She is in what looks like a beautiful Mrs. Roper looking house dress.
It is.
We got the
But see,
hat.
this is the only vacation I can afford is basically Coconut Beach candle, and that's about it. And I just have a hat on in my house so that I don't get hit by flies and flying insects.
Well, we lost Michele. Oh, she's back. She's back. Okay, so we
If you
we
put
lost
on enough
Michele for a minute.
sunscreen, maybe they'll just ignore you, or just spray them with the sunscreen. Then you can, it'll smell good in your house too.
Nice. So we brought Christy in. She's dressed to relax and chill out. This is going to be a pretty chill episode. We're just going to have a panel discussion. Dorie, we are so excited to have you here as well. And today, guys, we're
dressed really with. I feel like I should have brought props or
You're the same one.
I did find a little bit of greenery I could stick in my ear to go with my background in my daughter's princess room.
Aloha.
But
so now Dorie has just pulled some plastic plant, a piece off of a plastic plant, stuck it behind her ear. That was very tropical. That's beautiful.
Thank you. It's supposed to be.
What essential oil did you put on, Michele?
Oh, this one is lavender. Oh wait, that would attract it.
That's gonna no,
and
you're gonna go to sleep. So
no.
You needed citronella. Do they make a citronella?
Yes, they do.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, ladies, this is what we're doing today. Michelle's going to get it together. She's going to be okay. And we're going to talk about, because this is poor green room etiquette, if you ask me. It's very poor green room etiquette. But that's what we're going to talk about. So the other day, we were just in an organic discussion about green rooms. And we were talking about that we'd like to discuss things that we wish maybe someone had talked to us about before, or things we learned from a friend or we learned the hard way. And so today we want to kind of talk about the green room. And so I'm just going to kind of open the floor to you guys. So first, Christy, I'll throw to you first, and then we'll go to Dorie. So when it came to comedy, you first started doing comedy. Is there someone that helped you learn green room etiquette? Is it something you observed? Tell us about your green room experience.
Well, let's first define what a green room is, Because I don't know if everybody knows what a green room is. It's not like this green padded wall cell that
Yes.
you have to stay in. So when you're going to a club or you're going to an event or something like that, they usually have a room for speakers and or the, you know, what's the word? Celebrity. I mean, resort mode. I don't know. So like, yeah, it's just a place to hang out before you go on stage. So they just call it the green room. And then it's usually got stuff that the talent has requested. So that would be called a writer. So you have a writer which says, I want this in the green room for me before I go on stage. It's stuff that make you feel at home, make you feel comfortable. It could be, you know, really weird things. It could be average things. I always ask for just a bottle of water. I mean, I just want a bottle of water. And you would be surprised how many people can't even come up with that. You're like, I just need a bottle of water. But anyway, you go into the green room and you're waiting your turn. And there is green room etiquette that Bone Hampton taught me a lot about, and distinguishing between who's, you know, on at what time slot and who has, you know, just there's power in the green room. I mean, there is that kind of thing, and you have to basically acknowledge that there is a different dynamic in the green room based on who you are in that show. And to ignore that can get you not in a show. It can get you labeled as, you know, it can be labeled as a power struggle. So I don't know if that's all green rooms. I just noticed in the clubs, it's more like that. Hopefully not in a church. You're not in a power struggle with, you know, the pastor or anything like that, but it is their church. So, so you have to just be mindful that either you're the headliner or you're the invited guest. Just be aware of that would be my number one thing. Remember where you are in that pecking order, I guess. That's a terrible word, but in that hierarchy. I don't know, Dorie, what do you think? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, for sure. I don't do a lot of clubs, so I don't have, you're right, maybe the hierarchy thing isn't, but I could see where if you're the headliner, I mean, if you're an opener, you're not going to have all these demands about the snacks, or, you know, I don't know. I would always kind of, if I'm opening for someone else, I would definitely be aware of that and try not to like take over, or, you know, in the green room and take the best chair or anything. I don't know. I would, you know, and I would try not to talk their ear off. I'm one of those, I like to connect in the green room. I like to talk to people. But I know that some people do like to have that alone time. And so, and like go over their set and stuff like that. I like to, do that before I get there, because once I get there, I feel like I'm too scatterbrained to kind of throw something together. So I like to connect with people, but I just try to use social cues to know, okay, that person's not wanting to be conversational right now. And then a few, you know, like a minute or two before I go on, I'm definitely in the zone, or I try to get into the zone of like, you know, what are my first things I'm going to say, and what are, you know, like, so I get it. If someone was trying to talk to me during that last 2 minutes, I'd be like, I can't comprehend what you're saying right now. So I think for me, the biggest thing would be, I really try to be thankful to the people who provided the snacks and things like that, because that's like, you know, I don't actually have an official writer. Because I figure unless the church asks me like, what snacks do you like, then I feel like, well, I don't want to say whatever, you know, surprise me, because then they feel like, well, we don't know what to do. And I'll just say something like, I like fruit. Which I hit so funny, because I have a bit in my act where I don't like fruit, but I do actually have come to love fruit. So I do feel like I'm lying when I say, you know, bring fruit. But I like honey roasted peanuts for some reason is the thing that I ask for, because it's like a sweet and a salty. It's got protein, feels like it's healthy in some way. I don't know if it is. Anyway, so that's kind of, I try to be really thankful for the people that, you know, do put something thought into it and stuff. So I didn't have to shop for that stuff. So
I think that what you said about the green room is a lot like the stage. The green room is another room that you need to read the room. is basically what I'm hearing from both of you guys. There's different personalities that are in that room. There are different people who are approaching this show in different ways. And then, as you said, Dorie, like a couple minutes before you go on, like that's a time that you're trying to be in that zone and not be spoken to. And so being mindful of the order of people who are going on. So if this is the host or this is the opener, you got to be mindful of like, that's their 2-minute zone, right? That's when they're about to go out, and just being mindful that that's a person that I should probably not be, talking to right now in this moment. I noticed too, like we talked about this last week, there are personalities where I love doing shows with you guys. We're having fun. We're cutting up. Dorie and I recently did a show with Brian Kahatsu in the green room. He found like a funny coat and he had the jacket on, and we're laughing, we're taking pictures. We're just getting excited about doing the show, and we're having fun. Fast forward to like 2 weeks ago, and I worked with 2 dudes, right? And they were very quiet, very chill. I'm like wanting to have that energy. So I just removed myself from the green room. I'm like, hey guys, I'm going to, go downstairs, make sure everything's good, whatever, which I really was. But at the same time, like I wanted to pace. I wanted to kind of listen to the music. They were playing bluegrass music in the background, just kind of dance a little bit and get in that zone. But they didn't need me and that energy in their space, because that's not how they are before the show. What do you think, Michele?
Well, that is a great question. I don't know how those guys are. No. There's a difference between church green rooms and comedy club green rooms. So at one of the clubs here in town, they have a green room, but if you're the host or the opener, you're not allowed in it. It is strictly just for the feature and the headliner, which is interesting and good. And, that's where all the snacks are. So, and I've noticed there's also a difference between an A club and a B club, and a C, like there's different types of snacks and things to that kind of a thing. So like if you're an opener, you have to buy your own meal, and you got to pay for all that kind of stuff. If you're a feature or headliner, then the club usually will get you a meal and that kind of stuff, so it's very interesting to see the different hierarchy. Like right away, you already know, nope, you're not good enough, stay out, like that's the kind of attitude it presents. But to be fair, some green rooms are not big rooms.
Right. I was about to say some green rooms are really tiny, and they've got like 2 chairs.
Yeah. Yeah. So because, they have tiny little rooms like that, it's hard to, go into, well, why can't I be in there? Because
right.
And I do like what you were saying, Dorie, about, the churches and Christy, well, what do you want? And if you don't tell them, you just say, well, whatever, then they end up overbuying.
Right.
And then you feel like a heel, especially if you don't eat it or don't touch it, or, then you're like,
right.
You spent all that effort to get me mushrooms in the shape of a flower. Thank you. I'm allergic, like, so there's just certain things. So you got, and I agree with you, Christy. Like I am a water girl. Like I just need room temperature water, about
Same.
3 or 4 bottles. It's gotta be room temperature. Don't give me anything cold, because it does something to my throat. And occasionally I'll ask if there's any hot water for tea, because I'll usually bring throat coat with me, or some mint tea, minty fresh. I forgot what your question was, June. So I'm gonna ramble.
That's okay.
Now I'm hungry.
So we're continuing with the etiquette. One of the things that
boy. No.
one of the things that jumped out to me was just as far as being mindful of the room and the size of the room. Do not be on speakerphone. Don't be ordering medications. These are just something that I've
yeah.
seen
Okay.
before.
All right. Yeah. Right now I'm on a podcast. Yeah. So I can't really talk right now, but yeah.
So
yeah.
bad.
I'll
You know what? Let's just make that a rule across all existence.
No, I
don't
think
be on a speakerphone.
Please.
Ever.
Please, can we make that in restaurants? Oh gosh,
Airports. I just come back from a trip.
Yeah.
I was like, no one needs to know the bank account roll of the guy that you're getting, a payment from. I seriously was in
Yes.
like on a speakerphone yelling out, let me repeat those numbers back to you. I was like, dude.
oh my.
Yeah, I'm at a comedy show right now. I can't really talk.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm sitting front row. Yeah, I know. I got great seats. I was saving you a seat, but you didn't come in time. Oh, you're going to show up? Okay.
Oh my
half
gosh.
hour in,
Yeah.
I'm
fastest.
already annoyed. I'm
I'm in
annoyed.
the front. I'm in the front.
Y'all, I took a friend to a show one time. I did not know what to do. I didn't know what to do. I took them to a pretty big show about 7 rows back, and they just took
Why
a
are
call
you
from-
calling me out like that? Why are
they
you calling me?
Christy
Why?
just took a call
Why?
from her kid. This
Right.
person, the performance is going on, and they go, "Hello?
No, they didn't.
No,
No.
what's up? Is your dad not home yet? Yeah. Well, what about your sister? Is she gonna come? And I don't know what to do because this is more of an acquaintance than a friend. And I'm like,
What?
No.
Yeah. Turn off the
wonderful
ringer.
person, but a highly sensitive person. So I couldn't just be like, you can't do that. Like this person, it would have crushed them, but I'm dying. So then I'm like, I hope people don't think I'm with her, but I'm so with her. Like, I was just dying. But
I've only
okay,
had
so
that happen one time when I was at a nursing home facility doing comedy, and a woman took a conversation, and she was my actually only laugher at that moment. So I was like, I'm going to wait for her because then we can start the show again. So I just waited. I just stood there and we let her have the conversation, and I was like, okay. And then we went on, and it was it worked out. But no, it was, yeah, that is hard, June. I don't know what I would do with that's a different kind of etiquette question because that's like,
yeah. I'm
I don't
still
know.
shook. I mean, what I know is you just never you never get tickets for that person again. Like I just can't. I just can never. But also, okay, so the reality is it's the same thing in the green room, right? Sometimes another comic is not going to say anything. They're going to be very polite. You're going to think, man, I really connected with this person. And then they'll never want to work with you again. The other thing, let's talk about performance in the green room, trying to be the funniest comic in the room, right? Like, all right, Christy, go ahead. You seem very emotional about that. Should you be performing your material to the people in the green room to impress the headliner?
No, absolutely not. I mean, that is not the time to work out a joke. Now, after the sets are over, again, I think going back to what you guys were saying, you feel the vibe in the room, but do not ask the headliner, hey, do you like my joke? No. I was in a green room with a very big comic, and I kid you not, the man never stayed in the green room. Like it was like he was so focused that he didn't want anybody really talking to him while he was working out some new stuff. And I mean, this is a big guy, so he's got money in this. I mean, he's got a real purpose in working out new jokes. But it was like, you don't talk to him while he's in that mode. He's working. That's what you have to remember. This is work. This is a job. This is so you are in work mode. And like, if you're in a church setting where it's a little more relaxed, it's still work. And then you, like Dorie said, I think you get the vibe from other people. But I was like, you don't come in and take over the green room, like throw your stuff everywhere, take over the, if there's a bathroom in there, you don't take over the bathroom and put all your stuff in there. It's like, there's just some etiquette that you're sharing this space as you're working. My other thought was when a comic comes off the stage, leave a chair open for that person because they've been standing most likely for a while, or they've been moving, or they've been sweating, or they've been just on. And it's tiring. Like I watched a documentary about Robin Williams. And the interesting thing about him is that he was very quiet before he would go on stage, very subdued. And he was just revving it all up for the stage and through everything. And he would come off the stage just dripping and fall exhausted on a couch. Well, if you're sitting on the couch going, great, and you have to get up. I mean, get a place for them to be able to whoosh come down and sit down for a minute, because it might have been exhausting. So don't just sit there. It's make space for them to come off the stage. That's one of my pet peeves, is when nobody moves and you're like, I gave it everything I got, whatever that looks like. Just create space for them to come down and just go whoosh.
And I think, and probably have a towel, because if they're sweaty like that, put that.
Well, remember at Dry Bar, they, like, going back to water, they were like, you want water? Do you want 1 bottle or 2 bottles, or do you want it in a glass? Do you want it room temperature? Do you want ice in the glass? Do you want it cold, in the bottle? Do you want the bottle cap undone, or do you want it done? I was like, oh my gosh, do you want a towel? Do you want to, it was, in that respect, so professional, as I want to give you exactly what you need on stage. And I was like, I didn't know there were that many options.
Wonderful. It's, I think too, I just thought of it. The topics that you may talk about, like, some people might be talkative, might be very, cordial and want to be talking to. So you don't want to just like ice them out if you're kind of, in a place where you'd like to talk to them too. But topic wise, you don't want to add, I think at that point, you're not asking for business tips from someone who's doing it longer than you. You're not saying, I think like there's an element that's fun about talking shop about comedy and stuff like that, but not to gain, like, that's not when you quiz them about what they did to make things happen.
Your marketing plan.
Exactly. That is not marketing strategy time. I think if they invite you, if they like you, because you're building a relationship, that's what you should be doing. If they're willing to talk, if anyone's willing to talk to you, I'm like, please talk to me. No, just kidding. If you're in the green room with me, I would like to talk to you. But I think at the same time, you have to be mindful that, you're building a relationship with these people, and you want it to be a pleasant experience. And then maybe after, you'll go out to eat or something, and you could talk more about those things. Maybe they'll be open to that, but do not badger them with questions about business and strategy and stuff like that. I think before, you go on or whatever. So that would be, topic is important also.
Good
When
point.
you say that, Dorie, when you say topic, my immediate thought went to politics and religion.
Oh no, yeah.
Right? Because you don't know, you can't make assumptions about where people are at. And now, if you're doing a church show with somebody and they represent themselves as a Christian comedian, it should be safe to talk about Jesus. You know what I mean? Like, if that happens to come up, I think we're okay. But if you're in a club or you're doing a show with secular comedians and things like that, I think be mindful of the things that you are talking about in the green room, and not, this is not the time to talk about whether you're left wing, right wing, who you're voting for, those kind of things. Like, you literally could spark a confrontation between two comedians in a room that you don't realize this person is way on this side and that person's way on that side. So I think just being mindful of the topics as well, as far as taboo topics or things like that. You don't need that kind of energy in a green room before the show. I think too, when we talked about the food and the water bottles and things like that, just a personal pet peeve of mine, but pick up after yourself.
Yes.
Pick up after yourself. And I bring a permanent marker. I label my bottle, so I'm even more mindful of it, because I don't want a bottle that says Junebug on it left in the green room, because they literally see that I just left my trash. You were kind enough to provide me with this bottle of water I asked for, and the peasants can clean up when we leave. Like, that's not how it should be. I'll clean up after other other comics, and it's not always that they're intentionally being rude or whatever. Some are just, you're on that high after the show. And as you were saying, like Robin Williams coming off stage or leaving the chair or whatever for somebody. I did a show recently with Darren Streblow, and it was the funniest thing, because afterwards we went out to the lobby and said hello to people and thanked them for coming. It was a big fundraiser, and they were, and I remember this young lady come up to me and she goes, I can't believe I get to interact with you. Like it was so sweet, and she was so, and I know I'm not like anybody, and I'm not the comedian that people are just dying to meet or recognizing me, whatever. But when we get back to their green room, Darren goes, I'm on such a high after a show, like the adrenaline is still up, that I realize I should probably not be in the lobby because I say all the wrong things, because my brain is just like, I just did the show and I say all the wrong things. I always kind of laughed about it because there's this thing, and especially for the headliner, it just kind of reminded me, like, I did my 20 minutes. He did 50.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
He had to be in that mode.
Yeah.
Twice as long as I did. And I know what it does to my nervous system. It gets me so like amped and excited that also just letting them have that time to come down. I think that was a great thing that you said. Let them sit down, let them breathe for a minute, give them that, man, great set or whatever, but then let them breathe. I don't know. What do you think, Michele?
Oh, yeah. Give me space. Okay, people, just give me space. About what? What do I think about what? Do I talk too much after the show? Yes. Do I talk too much before the show? Yes. Do I talk too much on the show? Yes. So I'm trifecta all the way around on that. Yeah, it is definitely a good thing. Give them space. I love that. Always give the headliner space. And I love everything that you guys are saying right now, because people don't know some of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to go back to you, June, because I think I found the anyway.
You think you found the bug?
She found the bug.
She found the bug. Okay, what about?
Okay, well, the bug got her, so she's gone.
She's now disappeared. She'll be okay.
She's being held hostage by the bug now.
Yeah. She always comes back
down the fly swatter, or Michele gets it.
She'll come back with a superpower, though. If it bites her, she'll be like a superhero now.
Yeah, that's
superpower.
Flag girl.
Just you got to watch this one, because I'm telling you, it's like things are fine, and then all of a sudden it just flies at you. Yeah, read the room.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, here's not necessarily a green room, and then we'll wrap up green room, and we're going to move on to what people love to talk about or ask us about is bombing. But before that, so the one thing that I kind of learned, or I didn't quite know to ask, was about merchandise. When you first start doing comedy, you think, oh, I got to have t-shirts, and I'm going to sell t-shirts and have name on it, that kind of thing. And some people will say, hey, how about wait till you have a really great joke that hits before you bother printing something, with your name on, whatever. But I just remember hearing a feature act one time asking the headliner, hey, I brought t-shirts. I didn't know if you were selling merch. Are you okay with me selling merch? And the headliner was like, I don't ever sell anything. Go for it, kid. Like this dude didn't care. He was like, yeah, no, that's awesome. Thanks for asking. But I also saw one time the opposite, where someone who was doing like 5 minutes came rolling in with a ton of stuff. Never asked anybody if it's okay to sell. Had all of this, extra stuff ready to set up, and they got shot down. And they were like, yeah, we're not, we don't do that. The headliner sells or that's it. And I didn't know that. I mean, I didn't have any t-shirts at the time, but it's one of those where I think when it's early on, not only read the room, but listen, shut up and listen to what the headliners are saying and pay attention to what's going around, because what I saw in that moment, I was like, ooh, okay. So when I do print t-shirts one day, which eventually I did, I'm going to ask. I'll never just assume that I can come rolling up with my stuff and start spreading things out. So what is, Dorie, we'll throw to you. So have you experienced that before? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, because I do a lot of churches and a lot of event, conferences and things like that, I just always ask before I get there, it's even on my booking form, can I have a resource table set up or not? And so that way I have it all clear because sometimes I'm flying with stuff, so I would hate to have flown out with this bag that I can't even, sell anything. So I make sure, and even when I get there, if I was ever like had resistance at that point, I wouldn't just push my way through. I think I will. I also have it on a checklist, like about a week before the event. I send it and just kind of remind them of the different things that we had already, discussed, and nothing new, just about, just things like lighting or things like the resource table, the big, that's a big one. And just confirming that. And, I have like water and a small side table on the stage is what I like. And so I just kind of put those last minute things in there about a week ahead and just say, hey, do you have any questions about this? Any changes? And so I don't go into it, because that would be super embarrassing if I went into it with like any expectation and it was like not cleared. I would definitely have asked first. And so I can't imagine. That would have been so embarrassing to that person. So yeah, definitely ask. I would ask who's in charge as far as like when you're booked, ask the booker that question. And then still be sensitive if you're not the headliner. I think that was wise for them, the first person, to ask, and just say, hey, you know what? They said I could do this, but I want to make sure it was okay with you. If they're, talking to you and stuff, then yeah. So that's wise.
Yeah, there's a difference between who's asking you. That's a good point. Who's asking you to be a part? If you're the headliner, then you're booked by the club or the church or whatever. If you're the headliner, then you kind of have, like we talked about the hierarchy, you have what you want in your room. Now, if you're bringing somebody on, like if I'm asking somebody to come along with me, then they can ask me and maybe I can ask the venue, whatever. So that's respecting who brought you. Respecting who you came with, that type of thing. If you're even the guest of another person, remember you are nothing in that room. You can't make demands in that room or say anything basically to get what you want in that room, because that ain't your room. That type of thing. So that's a very good point of remember who brought you at all times.
And try not to eat all the snacks or pack all the snacks.
Don't stuff them in your bag.
I honestly have, it's a balance, because you don't want to think that they did it for nothing, but also you don't want to look like a pig and eat like so much that you're like, what in the heck? And sometimes I get hungry and I'm like, I have low blood sugar, so I'm always like, oh, I don't want that to like happen. So sometimes I have to remind myself, do not eat like I don't eat all the snacks, but like,
well, I don't like to eat beforehand. I like to eat after. So it's like, don't get rushed going. We were at one venue one time and they kept pushing. There's the food, there's the food, there's the food. And I'm like, oh, I don't want it right now. It's
Yeah, I can eat before. I just can't eat something heavy, but afterwards, I like to eat also. And there's but it's funny because when I've traveled like on a tour, like there were a couple people that could not eat until after, and the people would come in to clean up, and I'd say, wait, I think that they haven't eaten yet, please wait. And they would eat kind of, sometimes the one part, I think it only happened like one time, they were annoyed, and I was like, well, they just can't eat before they speak, but they are coming to, they just wanted to get this cleaned up. But so I saved the day that day because they came back and they were starving. And I was like, just so you know, they were going to clean it up, but I stood up for you. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But,
so with that, if you know that you can only eat afterwards, you should really make yourself a plate ahead of time, because you want to be aware of the people that are going to come clean up. Because, if all you have is volunteers, like at a church function or that kind of a thing, they don't want to be there until past midnight. Whereas we come off stage and we're on this high, so we have all this energy because all the adrenaline's running and stuff. So we can stay up for a few more hours.
Right.
The volunteers, like, I have been here since 7 a.m. and I have set this place up. I've torn down all the chairs. All I have left is your food.
Yeah.
And it's, why add that to them, because we want to be, I think, like one of the things I was raised with is you always want to leave the place better than when you got there.
Right.
And so, and I think, June, also when you said that sometimes you clean up after the other comedians, I'm thinking that's why there's always a token female on certain certain shows. It's like, who's a good cleanup?
I'm glad you mentioned the female part though, because I had that on my notes before we moved to bombing. The reality is, Michele VanDusen,
Yeah.
we got to hit pause. We got to pause on this interview. It was our first panel. We're also going to have another first. Let's do a part 1 and a part 2. What do you say?
Okay, yeah.